Hello and welcome to my 325 Settlers of Khalgur League Starter. It's Reign of Arrows. It made a glorious comeback, or is it? Because the previous version was done on a Raider. Now we're doing a Warden. In this video, I will explain how to go over the things, how the gameplay loop is gonna be like. This one is my character from 324 that I made to like showcase the build. I didn't know they were going to remove Raider, yet they did, but basically the build, you just move in and just cast your stuff and you just go in and then arrows explode out of you because it has lots of mana forged supports. So as they've changed the thing, I can't really show the video because that would be a really bad showcase, as we've lost onslaught, we've lost phasing, so that's this movement speed and stuff, but we have gained something else in regards to damage. So as per usual, I have everything in the PUB. However, I didn't have time for the notes, so they're a little bit skimpy this time around in the notes section. However, on the items, they are not. As per usual, with my builds, you can always select your starting point and you can see throughout the acts and how to level. So let me cover that one. At first, once you get to the first town, you talk to Tarly. He is the first vendor. He will give you the first quest. You basically pick up a skill, which is Ice Shot. That's from him. And you can immediately access his vendor options, and you want to buy a 3-socket, 3-link greens, preferably on any item. It can be a bow, it can be a helmet, chest, boots, gloves, doesn't matter. If you have 1 or 2 wisdom scrolls, you should have 3 at the beginning of the game. You can immediately get like a bow or chest or whatever. That's a 3-link. If you don't, a 2-link will suffice. Nothing to worry about, we will get the 3-link over time. Shops refresh per level, so you can drop by after every map, after every level. You can drop by to town and you will get it, or you will just simply get it from the monsters abound. So anyways, I would suggest leveling with Ice Shot, Volley, and Mirage Archer. Volley and Mirage Archer are level 4. You get Precision, Dash. Well, you first get Dash and then Precision, because level 4 and 8. And then you pick up a Ballista, Shrapnel Ballista, which is very early to give you help and oomph to actually get to dealing single target damage. You can also add other modifiers like added cold damage to Shrapnel Ballista, which is perfectly fine and suitable if you want to oomph the damage a little bit more. It's usually not needed, but killing Brutus and Merveil is gonna be a little bit of a pain without the Shrapnel Ballista, especially for mana issues. Now, when it comes to level 12, that's when we swap to Reign of Arrows. Level 12 is basically the level that the game wants you to actually kill Merveil. So around that time, usually it's 12 to 14, that's when you can kill Merveil, get to the waypoint, go back to town, pick up the reward, and carry on. You can carry on your journey in Act 2 with Rain of Arrows, and 3 links for Rain of Arrows are Rain of Arrows, Mirage Archer, and added cold damage. That's when it comes to Act 1. Act 2, you just continue doing the same thing. You can just get Herald of Ice for extra cold damage. However, in Act 3, this is where things become a little bit more complex, where I need to explain things. Once you get your first 4-link, whether it is triple green and a blue, double green, red, blue, or triple green and a red, all 3 combinations work. Preferably you want technically one of each, one for Rain of Arrows, one for Ballista. You will get to know a Trinity skill gem. Skill support gem. So for Trinity is a level 18 gem. It's a quest reward, if I'm not mistaken, in Act 2, and it gives us Resonance. Resonance is this lovely bar that is going to appear on top left part of your screen whenever you kill a monster or whenever you deal elemental damage to a monster, and you will see it appear right about now. There we go. So that's Resonance. What does Resonance mean? When this bar is fully filled up, that means we have 50 resonance of each element. When it's half filled, that's 25 resonance of each element. Now, Trinity gives us Hits with supported skills for which trigger the highest damage type is elemental cause you to gain 25 resonance of other elements per second for 2 seconds. This is unclear. If you hit fire damage, you get cold and lightning resonance. If you hit cold damage, you get fire and lightning resonance. If you hit lightning, it is cold and fire resonance. The wording sucks. I'm sorry. It is what it is. So what you want to do is you want to alternate between two elements. Why? Fire gives cold and lightning resonance, and let's say cold gives fire and lightning resonance, which means you're always going to have all three. When you have all three up, it says this: supported skills deal 3% more elemental damage per 5 of lowest resonance. Keep in mind, if lowest resonance is 50, which is max resonance, that's lowest resonance, that means we deal 30% more elemental damage. And the next line, supported skills penetrate 7%, I think it's 16 at max, elemental resistances, while each resonance is at least 25. This is 16%, I think, elemental penetration that we get at maximum resonance. Now, we gain resonance by dealing damage, of course. While leveling, I have two setups. For new players, you either want to do Rain of Arrows, Mirage Archer, Cold Damage, Trinity, or you want to do Rain of Arrows, Mirage Archer, Elemental Damage with attacks and Trinity. Now, this is because of... oh, pardon. No, this one should not be here. Sorry. You want to do Rain of Arrows, Mirage Archer, Cold Damage, and Trinity because we are then getting Anger, and as we are dealing cold damage with Herald of... with added cold damage here, we can deal both fire and cold damage, one from Aura, Anger, one from, not Herald of Ice, one from added cold damage, which means we're proccing Trinity all the time. For experienced players, you guys want to go Rain of Arrows, Mirage Archer, Ele damage with attacks, and Trinity. Ele damage with attacks will give us more elemental damage, but of course, you will have to mix and match with the bow what you get on the bow. Do you get cold damage? Do you get lightning damage? And so on. Do you keep Herald of Ice? Maybe not. That's it. So then that you can proc Trinity. For new players, I strongly suggest going with this one and Anger. This is for everyone, because this is going to proc your Trinity 100% regardless of what kind of bow you have. More on that later. Everyone wants Anger, of course, and Ballista for more damage. This is a new Ballista. In Act 3 and 4, Artillery Ballista, cold damage, faster attacks, inspiration. Basically very simple. It follows a similar pattern later on down the track where you can just follow it through. It adds later on defenses, adds mark on hit. It adds a 5-link setup for Rain of Arrows, and it adds Mana Forged setup later on, especially for like 5-link setup there, and it guides you through white maps, yellow maps, and red maps. Of course, this is a league starter, so keep that in mind. I will update these videos. There's also Chaos Orb recipe linked there, so pay attention to that. This is not min-maxed. We have to figure out how the Ascendancies work. Ascendancies. New Ascendancies for Warden that we are picking are, first one, evasion chance to ignite into Oath of Summer. Hits that would ignite instead Scorch. You can inflict an additional Scorch, and Scorched enemies have their elemental resistances reduced by up to 30% based on the fire damage of the hit the next 4 seconds. As we can apply 2, we just want to ignite an enemy, that will apply Scorch immediately, and if you do 2 of them, that knocks down resistances by up to 60%. That's how it should work. Keep in mind, while in campaign, I think this is very helpful because of monsters. Some monsters have extra resistances of any kind, and this shreds all of them, so that's good. Next one, we want to pick up Evasion Ailment Duration to increase the duration of our ailments by 10%, and Avatar of the Wilds. This is a new skill. I am quite unsure how it is going to work. In the updated video, I will of course update you guys, but this is what I guess. Gain 1 Unbound Fury when you inflict an elemental ailment with a hit on an enemy, no more than once every 0.2 seconds for each type of ailment. As we do cold, fire, and frost ailments, including freeze, that's 4 ailments, we can build this up pretty quickly. cannot gain Unbound Fury while unbound. Unbound means when you activate the ability. Your hits always inflict freeze, shock, and ignite while unbound, and 80% more elemental damage while unbound. Now, this is a button that we're going to get, and that's a button basically like Berserk is. You fill in a bar, you click the button, you gain a lot of damage until the bar depletes, rinse and repeat the process. Now, Unbound Avatar requires 100 Fury to use and causes you to become unbound for 10 seconds, which has no effects beyond those listed here. So basically, we get unbound for 10 seconds, then it gets removed, and then we do it all over again. More ailments, more hits, faster unbound proc. Next one for third lab, evasion LA ailment duration, as we want to increase our ailments even further, the duration, and we get Oath of Spring. Oath of Spring says this: maximum effective shock is 2% increased damage taken, but we can apply up to 50 shocks to each enemy. This is in addition of the multiple projectiles that we are firing. We fire Rain of Arrows, we have a Mirage Archer, we have Manaforge setup that fires Frenzies, that fires Blast Rain, that fires Storm Rain. We have a lot of hits at the moment, and I believe that we can get this to apply to 25 at least. Everything after that requires further testing because I don't know, we don't know, who knows. So Oath of Spring basically allows us to get 100% increase the damage taken on an enemy. However, the duration of these ailments is 2 seconds. That's why we want to get the increase to bring it up 20% more, so we can have 2.4 seconds, which is going to help. And the last one, for Uber Lab, we want Evasion Spell Suppression. And we want Mother's Teachings, grants level 20 Barkskin skill. Now, Barkskin gives us physical damage per hit reduction and evasion on attacks, flat evasion on attacks. Now, how does it work? It stacks up to 10 stacks. Every stack gives us 30 less physical damage taken from attacks, so minus 30. Up to 10, that's 300. Now, the other is, if not at maximum bark, woof woof, as they said in patch notes, we get 2% more evasion chance, which means at 10 barks, we do not have evasion at all added from Barkskin. Once we get hit, we get down to 9, and then we have 18% flat evasion, flat chance to evade attack hits. This is huge, if you ask me, especially for League starters, as those builds are usually with lower evasion and things. And also it helps us with physical damage mitigation, which is 300 a hit, is not that insignificant hit, which basically means if we have over 3k HP, 3.5k, we are going to survive that physical hit anyways, and it's going to bring us down to 9 barks, which gives us 18% flat evasion, and then good luck hitting us for next 4 seconds. After 4 seconds, that's recently, of course, recently is 4 seconds. After 4 seconds, we get up to 10 barks, or if we get hit, we go down to 8, 7, and so on. This builds up over time. Now, I would recommend this one to be picked as Forbidden Flame and Flesh, and then go here. But of course, this is a League starter, so I'm not going to go into too crazy of details. This build should be up to 100-ish chaos for start, plus then clusters, so keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to the items that we're using, I have written quite a lengthy notes section, so please do read item notes, please. Then we have Act 3 to 9, which is item notes here that we have. Extra of those. Then we have Act 10, where we fill in the things that we need. Keep in mind, evasion needed on chest basically is to help us with this node, Evasion Mastery, to give us 15% chance to suppress spell damage if equipped helmet, body armor, gloves, and boots all have evasion ratings. So that's what we're chasing. We can do hybrid bases, but we cannot do non-evasion bases. Keep that in mind. When it comes to the rings, so any rings for stat stick, basically you can grab any stats. We usually lack intelligence and strength, so that's what you want to pick. Then we have white to yellow to red maps. That's why I wrote white maps plus and upgrade as you go. This is what we need for the items. Now let me cover those. For a bow, during leveling and during the continuation of upgrades is basically this. It's a never-ending chase to get as much elemental damage as possible on the bow. However, later on, if you want to get some critical chance, some critical multi, some attack speed, and that would be a perfect bow. We are not chasing extra projectiles, which means our bow is cheaper, which is great, but we are chasing elemental damage, crit multiplier, and attack speed. Attack speed is priority there, and then crit. That's what we're chasing. For the quiver, you can either follow my video on the quiver. This is all going to be linked down in the description below, where we can make a quiver, or you can just buy a random stat stick quiver and craft intelligence or whatever you need. So that's perfectly fine. Elemental damage, resistances on quiver, damage on quiver is basically what we need. For every other item, helmet, it has crafted strength, sorry. Chest piece, resistances, life. Gloves, intelligence, life, strength. These are hybrid gloves because int. Boots, life, resistances, movement speed. A belt, you can fit in any belt. You can even do Bisco's leash. It's perfectly fine. Heavy belt to fit in strength, life, resistances. We want to be resistance capped. Chaos does not matter before high red tier maps. Next, important stuff. Amulet, High Risk Truth, which grants us level 30 precision skill. That's when we can remove precision from our tree. Gives us global crit multi. We have culling, and precision has increased mana reservation efficiency, which technically makes it half cost. What do we want here? When do we want this? Pardon, is if you see some on the market, you just do a few Chaos Orb recipes and kaboom, 5 Chaos, grab the amulet. That's it. Now, Tamings are a different story. Number one, they're not updated in PoB to the new values, to new things. Keep that in mind. They deal the increased damage per ailment, so it's a little bit reworked. So we need 2 of these. These can be either built, I will link this in the description, by 3 rings: Barracks Grip, Barracks Respite, and Barracks whatever. You sell them to a vendor, and kaboom, you have a taming. Those are usually 1, 1, and 5, 6 chaos, but taming is usually 20 chaos. However, you can, of course, earn the tamings very easily if you do Chaos Orb recipes. You can grab any tamings, any resistances, does not matter. You just want them in the build for the extra oomph. If you cannot find tamings, or if you want to do a rare variant, you can do any rare variant ring that fits in the resistances and elemental damage if you can find it. Those are the 2. Now, one very important thing is in white maps, I fully expect people to follow my Chaos recipe guide so that they would buy Lioneye's Fall Viridian Jewel. Why? Because melee and melee weapon type modifiers in Radius are transformed to bow modifiers. So all of these points for dagger and claw are transformed to melee. If we unclick this, we lose, what is that, 40%? We lose around 40% damage, I suppose. Whatever that is, if that's set up correctly. Like, numbers in PoB are skewed right now. So we lose around, let's say, 30% damage. This one is very much needed, and it might be expensive, might not, depending on whether or not bows are going to be played this league a lot. But because it transforms these points, these are insane. However, if you don't have Lioneye's Fall, I do recommend to get it, because this is like white maps. I recommend getting it. If you don't have points for these, you will get them later. Get the jewel. If you don't get the jewel, you can, of course, go this route here. So keep that in mind. You can do this too. I do not recommend going this route, because you're gonna get too used to like the life and stuff. And you need to practice working with evasion a little bit more, because that's what rangers need to do. But that's an alternative, so now you have an alternative. And final stuff, in yellow maps, you want to buy any Lethal Pride Jewel. Reason for it is we want it as a stat stick. It's a Leaguestart. We want it as a stat stick. Nothing else nothing more. Don't be baited. Don't pay attention what it is. Buy the cheapest one. Once we get the build rolling and everything else, you can of course add double damage, intimidate, and all the other pizzazz. Please don't be baited by any lethal pride timeless jewel. We use it as a strength stat stick. And the last but not least, in red maps, we add a cluster. Now, for cluster, I chose generic attack cluster, increased attack damage with Feed the Fury for leech and attack speed, martial prowess for a little bit more accuracy, Calamitous, which we are not going to use as we do not need it, that's a filler point, and 2 medium cluster jewels, they are the same, eye to eye and repeater, projectiles deal increased damage with hits against nearby enemies, and projectile damage attack and cast speed. The reason why we do that is Rain of Arrows is a skill that attacks like nearby. So when you attack it, everything here is like nearby. So you want to have as many nearby targets and things as possible, and you want to be as close to the targets as possible. That's why we also take point blank for more damage. Okay, this is basically all sorted out here. I will leave it as is for the endgame. In endgame, this is just a placeholder. Keep that in mind. I will update over time as things have changed. Like boots have changed the craft, shadows and dust classmates. We're doing Bisco's leash. We're doing Storm Shroud and things. This is just a guideline to if you are faster than me updating this guide so you can pick it up. Please don't take this as gospel. There is work to be done on this thing, but you know what to look for to upgrade. For flasks, flasks are all mentioned here. We want crit, crit flask charge, crit chance, during effect on diamond. On jade is like evasion flask. Anti-freeze is quicksilver until we get the ailment immunity. Silver flask, we want like either more attack speed or movement speed. And instant flask, whichever variety you prefer. And immunity to bleeding. For the regular jewels, we want some intelligence, global crit multi, max life jewel, pardon there, and that's basically what we want. So we want to rack up our things to the wazoo as possible, and then in the end, this is how it looks. It looks around 193k DPS per arrow hit, and we hit with a lot of arrows. But honestly, this DPS is irrelevant now because config is not set up, nothing works, so I wouldn't touch this at all right now. I will update as time comes. Watch my streams. You also can hop on the Discord, and I have a website now. So as a small outro, I've made this website to be functional, but as much user-friendly as possible. You can access it on the mobile devices or on your phone, tablet, whatever. This is a Discord link, the third one. I don't know how to put an image. I'm not a website guy, so I'm learning. But you have all of my guides here. So this is for the Warden Rain of Arrows, for my previous builds from before. All of these are hyperlinked, so you can open them in another page. All of my PoE for dummies, for crafting guides, all of them are there. I will update as time goes. And the more I learn about website development, the more info there's going to be on the website. This is, of course, for free for everyone to use. If you want to keep the website running, there's the donate button. I'm thankful for everyone's support. You guys just need to watch the videos, basically. And this is probably going to be self-sufficient, but we'll see over time. But that is going to be it for the video. Everything is going to be linked down in the description below. What I've mentioned in the vid so far. Thank you for your support once again. Thank you for enjoying these guides. If you have any questions in regards to the build or anything, post it down in the description below. You can check the website, hop on Discord. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube. Links for that are there as well. I will post them in the description below. I stream every day, basically. We're going to stream a lot for Leaguestart. We're going to enjoy. There are going to be a lot more PoE for Dummies videos, especially because now they've changed stuff, so I paused on uploads a little bit. But yes, that's it for this video. If you liked it, give it a like, sub if you don't mind. Thank you for all your support. Have a wonderful time, and I will see you in the next video or stream or somewhere else. Have a good one.